Hey guys, today's video is going to be a bit different. I'm actually going to make a postcard, or you could either use it as a postcard or the front of a card, as in when you need one really quickly, then it's already ready to go. So I'm calling them postcards, but you obviously don't need to use them as an actual postcard. So I've got some dusty Concord, which is the oxide ink, Distress Oxide I started with there. And I've now got some blueprint sketch, and then I also have, I believe, faded jeans. I'm not sure. No, chipped sapphire, I think it is. So it's a different combo for me, but I think blues and purples work really well anyway for a background, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create this nice spooky background, and yeah, chipped sapphire. I had to just double check there, which is a darker blue. So I'm just blending on. These are just sort of makeup sponges, brushes, super cheap. You can get them on Amazon or anywhere like that. So just using these and just going hell for leather, it would appear, to get the blending done, and just going backwards and forwards. So going between each color, blending until I'm happy with the actual blend of the colors. And the paper I'm using is Winsor & Newton's, I can't think, it's one of their watercolor brands. I thought I'd give it a whirl. I've not used it before on anything, and it worked pretty well. I think it's probably better for like actual watercolor images, or you know, things where you are actually watercoloring. So here I've just taken some some water in a distress sprayer and just spritzed the background. And now to add more texture, I'm going to use some Ganza Tambi Starry Nights, I think, Starry Stars or whatever that's called, paint. And I've got a blue gold. I thought that worked well with obviously the blue background. And I've just put some water in there, and I'm going to pick it up and put it on an acrylic block and then flick it onto my panel. Be aware, this does flick everywhere. I had paint splatter pretty much all over my desk, even though it doesn't look like it's gone everywhere. You will keep finding it. The other thing is just to keep cleaning as you go. So I clean my block off. It is paint. It will dry fairly quickly, as it were. So I cleaned that up, and then I'm using a heat tool. This is the Ranger heated tool. I love this thing. I use it for embossing and all sorts of stuff. I know it's not technically an embossing kind of heat tool, but I use it for that as well. Works just fine for me, and it gets super hot, so I love it. So I'm just drying off that panel, and then I decided that actually I wanted some more splatter because you can't have enough, can you? And so I brought the paints back in, and I'm going to use the white gold in this instance, and again just spritzed a bit of water in there, just dropped a bit of water in there, and then grabbing some off the block onto my acrylic block, and then flicking again onto the panel. And it's amazing how just two different color pearly paints, or it doesn't have to be a pearlescent paint, it can be whatever paint you've got, but you could do it in a color that coordinates, or even just black and white would work fabulously. And you just get the splatter on there. That's the main thing. But with the pearly ones, it makes it look like stars. So it gives it the sort of starry night kind of thing going on. And that die that I've used there, I just cut out of some black cardstock, and I'm going to use Newton's Nook Bootiful Night stamps. I had to think about that. The die for the tree is a lawn fawn, of course. Lawn fawn die. I think it's just a tree backdrop or something like that. Can't remember the exact name. And it's just, you know, it's just a backdrop, but it's so cool. You do get some other pieces with that die set. So for these three, I've stamped and then cut them out with my scan and cut, and then I have coloured them in with some alcohol markers. So you could use your Pro markers, you could use your Copic markers, Nouveau markers, any alcohol markers. And I actually went round the outer edge, which was white. I actually went round that with a pale blue on one, a pale green, like really, really pale, and a pale grey thinking I was going to make 3 different tags, and in the end I actually did this instead. So it's quite amazing how you start off with one idea thinking, oh, I'll do 3 different things there for you guys, and turned out this is what I came up with instead. So I inked around the edges then with some Distress Vintage Photo ink, just so that they all then looked the same. And also, it, again, like everything with me at Halloween or fall, it's got to have that sort of distressed vintagey look to it. I just think it works really, really well. So the cat that is standing next to these 3 pumpkins that are all layered up, along with the little bird. I'm going to pop in behind the tree. I thought that was actually kind of cool and very creative on my part, because I don't think outside the box sometimes. Even though I am quite a creative person, sometimes thinking about things like this, the plot gets lost somewhere along the line. So really, really chuffed that I thought about doing this, and it looks really, really cute. I didn't line it up quite how I'd planned, so I tried to take it off, but it really wasn't coming off, so I just thought, just leave it, otherwise it's going to mess things up. So and then I'm just trimming the edges of what's sticking out on the edges of the, on the side, because obviously I don't want it going past the past the outside edge of the card. And then I'm just going to take some really this is quite strong adhesive, some dry adhesive. I'm also going to use some wet adhesive, just to, one, because there's some littler pieces like with the tree itself and the branches, and 2, because it's going onto a piece of paper or card that I have inked and then used water on and then paint on, and it does get a little bit warped. So this helps to, one, make it as flat as possible, but also it helps to hold all of this together so that it looks as flat as possible. And it worked pretty well. So I'm just going to actually turn this over, because I know where it is that it lines up, because I'd done that before I even started, sort of thing. So just turned it over, lined it up, and there's the start of my little Halloween scene. So now I'm taking a stamp press, and I'm going to do the sentiment. Now obviously I'm calling this a postcard, so postcards still sometimes have writing on the front, don't they? So I just thought the Hey Pumpkin from the same stamp set from Newton's Nook was quite sweet, and kind of worked really well with the whole pumpkin thing going on this card. There's a lot of pumpkins. And so I just stamped it in the corner there. And again, you can, if you do this, you could have a whole bunch of these on hand, and when you need a quick card, you just flip through these and then stick it to a card base. Job done. The idea with this is that you can also use it as a postcard, so you could stick a plain white piece at the back of the of this panel or the card, and then the other side of it is that you can stick it onto a larger card. So if you like bigger cards, make a bunch of these as and when inspiration takes you, and then when you need a card, you can go, oh, actually I fancy a larger card today, so then you can have a larger card. You're not limited to the size of the panel. You can actually go and put it on a bigger one, and it'll have this nice border around the edge, and it will look fab. So I'm just sticking all these pieces together. Decided my pumpkin, this batch of pumpkins, needed to go on the outside of the frame, or on top of the frame. I think it just adds another little something on there by having one behind, one on top, and then one sort of on the actual panel. It just gives a bit more depth. Even though everything's flat, it just shows a bit more depth and dimension without actually having all that dimension, if that makes sense. So I was looking at it thinking, I still felt like there was something missing, like I needed something else on it. And you'll see in the end, I could have put some glossy accents around the frame. I could have done it just on the tree. And all I did was I added a couple more bats. I still think I could have added glossy accents, or, the crystal glazes. I could have added that to the frame edge or the tree, so there was just a bit more going on. But I hope you like that, and I hope that you find inspiration in in doing something like this. And I hope to see you in the next one, guys. So if you liked what you saw, then please give it a thumbs up and hit the notification bell and the subscribe button. And I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Happy Halloween. Bye.